Well, welcome back to the studio. This painting has progressed a little bit since my last video. I showed you how I did the initial oil wash sketch. That was liquid plus my mud. The mud is 2 parts ultramarine blue and 1 part of alizarin crimson. And I mixed that with liquid. And that makes a nice thin wash, and you can see here some of my initial wash-in sketch. There I label all the flowers so that I know what I'm going to paint. Now I've done the adobe walls are mixes of my mud plus cadmium yellow medium plus white plus a little bit of cadmium orange, and that just gives me that nice warm adobe color. I also have some brush strokes of ultramarine blue plus white in there, just adding some coolness into the shadows. The wisteria is a special color. It's dioxanine purple, and I've added white into that for my lavender blossoms on the wisteria. The greens are viridian green plus cadmium yellow medium plus white. Then I also have some little touches here and there of phthalo blue plus white. Just again, that adds some coolness into the foliage. It kind of makes some of those leaves go back in. The door is a mixture of the dioxanine purple plus magenta plus white, and that gives that pretty purple color. Then I've used those same purples in the pansies, and then the pansies where the sun hits them, they're white. And then in the shadow colors, I've used some of my wisteria color, I've used some of my door color, I've also used ultramarine blue plus white. And that just gives a nice variety within those pansies. The greens here are phthalo blue plus lemon yellow plus white. And then the pots, the containers are phthalo blue plus white. Then my floor is the terracotta tile is mixes of my mud, which again, that's 2 parts of ultramarine blue plus 1 part of alizarin crimson. And I've added cadmium orange, cadmium red light, and then white into that. And then on the back part of the floor, I've made a few brush strokes of my ultramarine blue plus white. Cool colors go back, warm colors come forward. So that blue makes that floor flatten down. It makes it go back. So anyway, let's get to painting. I'm going to start working on these black-eyed Susans right there. Okay. Let's start on those black-eyed Susans. Now I'm using mixtures of my cadmium yellow medium plus cadmium orange. I'm even throwing a little bit of alizarin crimson in there. I'm using a bright brush. This is square end, and I can use, you can see, I can use the corner of the brush to make these little fine brush strokes for the petals. Now my background is painted behind these. I went ahead and painted my shadows in there so that I've got that dark behind the flowers. And I like to apply this paint with quite a bit of texture. These flowers are up above the foliage. So normally I paint my flowers first, which I'm doing. Flowers first, leaves last is the normal sequence I use. And I do this, I'll show you as I start painting the greens, but I do this because by painting the flowers first, when I go back and paint the green, my brush will definitely pick up some of that underlying color because some of the petals, some of the flowers dip down into the foliage. And when my brush picks up that underlying color, I don't want the green there and then try to paint the yellow, because my brush would pick up the green and dirty the flower color. When I get to painting the leaves, I'll kind of show you. But you can see how I use the edge of the brush or the corner of the brush to put those flowers in. I'll go back, when I start adding the details, I'll go back in with a little bit smaller brush. Those oranges and yellows look really, they're the complementary color to all the purples in the painting, so they work really well. And when you put complementary colors near each other. It's like the yellow and the purple. That purple makes the yellow appear brighter because they're across the color wheel from each other. And so the placing complements next to each other makes them appear brighter. It's like if you put red with green, the green just really, or the red just really pops with that green behind it. And the same is blue and orange, yellow and purple. And so you try to, that makes the color appear brighter. And that's one thing I do a lot in my paintings, and that helps the paintings have that brightness. Now my leaves are mixtures of phthalo blue plus cadmium orange plus white. You can see now I'm working around my flowers. But see how my brush has picked up some of that orange and yellow? And that doesn't matter if I come back and if some of that orange and yellow gets into my leaves. But if I had painted my green leaves first and then came back and was painting that yellows and orange, I wouldn't want that green to muddy my flower color. Hope that makes some sense. But anyway, this is some phthalo blue plus white. Some of my color left over from the pots over here. Just add some variation within the foliage. And those cool blues just add some nice depth into the foliage. Now this is a mixture of phthalo blue plus liquid, and you want to get some darks in there because you've got those darks, you know, the foliage is not all one level. There's leaves in front of leaves, and so as it goes back it gets darker, so that gives you a nice dark back in there. Just, again, I can use the corner of that brush to make those finer brush strokes. To make a little bit a lighter mixture of this leaf color. And I'm coming back in, add some darks. Just try to get a lot of color up there because leaves are not all the same tone. You've got lots of variation of shades and values, even different mixtures mixtures of the same colors but in different proportions, and that just gives you variety within the greens. There's a lot of variety in nature, so if you're painting flowers, if you're painting trees, look at them and you can see, if you start really examining them, they're not all the same color. Different trees have different leaf colors. It's just like my pansies have greener, more spring greens in the foliage, whereas the black-eyed Susans have more of a gray-green foliage. And they say as a rule in gardening, if plants have a gray-green foliage, they're more water tolerant. And the gardening that I've done, that for the most part holds true, not always, but for the most part, those plants with gray-green foliage don't need as much water. Now my light's coming from the left, so I make the leaves on the left side a little bit lighter. So these would not, the black-eyed Susan would not need as much water as the pansies do. Of course, in the painting, they never need watering, so you can have flowers in a painting and you can just enjoy them and never have to take care of them. They don't need deadheading or watering or weeding or pruning or anything. It's just a carefree garden. Now I'm going to use a little bit smaller brush. This again is going to be one of my square, bright brushes. Now I am going to bring a couple of flowers into that green, and I have to be very, very careful when I do that. and just kind of lay the color on the surface. Because as I'm doing this, see how my brush picked up some of that green? So I have to keep wiping my brush, keep those colors nice and clean. My highlight color, this is cadmium yellow medium plus some lemon yellow. Again, I apply just lay the paint carefully on the surface. Black-eyed Susans are such a happy, cheery flower. They just dip and dance in the breeze. They're just very welcoming in this little garden. Now these flowers on the right are a little bit more in shadows, so they're not going to be quite as bright. These are going to catch a little bit of light on these front petals. These catch a touch right there. But as they drop down, they go into the shadow more. This one's going to get just a touch of light, just hitting these petals right there. Now, I'm going to add the centers with a mixture. This is my mud. This is the 2 parts ultramarine blue plus 1 part alizarin crimson. I've added a little bit of liquid into that. And my liquid, here's a bottle of it. It's made by Winsor Newton, called Liquid Original, and this is a medium, an oil color medium. And you can mix this into your paint to thin it. I like to use it for washes, like I drew the painting in on the panel. But you can also make thin glazes with it. If you paint real thin and glazes, it's really good for making glazes. And then just I add my centers to these flowers. All of a sudden they start looking like black-eyed Susans. Adding that center really makes a difference. So they look like flowers. Let's add some little stems in there and we'll have these. Now I explained in the beginning of my video, I kind of explained all the different colors I used and everything for this painting. If you will go to my blog, you'll actually see I'll show you the step-by-step process on the blog. And my blog, the link is in the description below. The address is also on the final frame of the video. And I know several people say, oh, well, goodness gracious, you know, I'd like to see how the rest of that painting turns out. Or if you'll just go to my blog, that's all there. I don't do videos on the entire painting. It would just take too long. And I'm very, very blessed as an artist. My galleries are very busy. I have a lot of commissions to do, so I really don't have time to even do a time-lapse video of the paintings. I know some of you have asked for that, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate your interest. Gosh, I'm just so thankful that you follow my YouTube videos and my blog. But honestly, I just don't have the time to be able to do all of that as much as I'd like to. So these videos and my step-by-step blog are the best I can do is to help you. And always feel free to ask questions. I will answer them, and I'm here to help you. Now I need to put a few more little leaves in here. As they go up the stem, you get a few leaves breaking through. I want this one to catch a little bit of light here in front of that dark of the and these will be darker just to help play up the lightness on our flowers. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add a few little highlights onto those petals. Squeeze out some white here. This is to the end of the tube. It gets kind of hard to squeeze that out. But mixing some white into my cadmium yellow plus lemon yellow mixture, and we'll add a few little highlights of just add a few little tips of light on these petals. Got too much paint on that one. I do like to have quite a bit of paint there so I can add texture. That's Molly in the background. She says, I want to eat something. It's almost that time. So a few little bits here. I really thank you again for watching my videos and following my blog. You can subscribe to my YouTube videos. You can also subscribe to my blog. And again, the link is in the description below. The address of the blog is also in the final frame of my video. So that gets us. Oh no, wait. Need to throw just a few little petals on the ground. If you've done any gardening at all, you know that flowers kind of get a few little petals here and there. So thank you so much, and you have just a wonderful, wonderful day. Please remember, today is a great day to have a great day. And happy painting!